I believe that some of my favourite gaming memories come from running Prime Apex in 2020 with that one trio of friends. The movement was so smooth and fun, the gunplay felt dynamic and impactful, and each character had their own unique quirks which were simple enough to provide a recognisable personality, but also complex in the sense that upon further inspection, the character you're playing has deep and well-written lore. To those who played early Apex, I task you to remember, why was it that you picked that character? Was it the power of their abilities, such as Wraith's phase? Or was it due to their dashing personality, such as Mirage? Or even their looks, which is everyone's favourite robot top, Revenant? Each voice line, each interaction sticks with you, whether it be Caustic's "I feel most alive when rapidly approaching my death," or when Mirage is on his own, he begins to speak to himself, that once showboaty appearance breaks down into anxiety and stress. Now, if you've seen my channel in the early days, I used to upload my Apex clips, primarily for the love of the game. Although things which stick out is, I am in fact a Mirage main. When I think back to Apex, one of the first things I think about is the complexity and the potential of his character. I had a genuinely well-written person within the Apex universe. I'd like to dedicate this video, and possibly make this a series, of the early Apex characters and what makes them stick out, and break down the core roots of genuinely interesting character design. Before I start, I'd like to mention that I am not caught up with the current Apex lore, and if I get anything wrong, please do let me know in the comments. I'd love to see if my knowledge is checked out after ages of not playing the game. Before the Apex games, Elliot Witt, Mirage, worked as a bartender and grew up with 4 brothers. Notably, he was the youngest of the 4, so he was always seeking attention. All of which had died in the Outlands, and his mother urged him to follow his dreams and become a star. Hence him joining in the Apex games and the creation of the Holo device, what he uses for his cloning technology. Already, we can gather as spectators that Mirage has a complicated family situation. With the loss of his brothers, he feels as if a void was created in his heart. Luckily, he has a strong relationship with his mother, and although the holo technology helps, it nurses that feeling of loss to only a certain extent, and may create a wave of unhealthy escapism for Mirage to have these clones in the first place. Within the Apex games, Mirage is the poster child for them. His flourishing and celebrity-like front brings a plethora of fans to the game, as evident with Mirage's golden statue heirloom as merchandise. More on that later. While he does it for the fame, his number one fan, as quoted by himself, is his mother. Seems pretty basic so far, right? With the typical family life struggle, and also, oh look, it's the comedy relief character. Well, what if I tell you the reason for his push for fame, the drive for extravagant things such as the Mirage Voyage, hosting the holiday event, and his unforgettable personality, is so that his mother remembers who he really is. As unfortunately for Mirage, his mother has developed dementia, slowly eating away her memories of her last surviving son.
Nowadays, I don't have an answer. My brain's just... I think it's a thing. Whatever you call it. I heard this happens. It happens to people. I'm tired.
More often than not, on his own, Mirage will begin talking to himself, a common stress-relieving strategy to counter the void of loneliness and anxiety. "Oh, this is just great. Mom's gonna love this," is a voice line in which he talks to himself when inspecting a golden statue of himself. While he puts on this face for his fans, and it's a strong face, he really does it so that his mother remembers him. To lose his brothers so early on, and to have the only known family member slowly forget who you are, it eats away at Mirage. He's demonstrated as the comedy relief and kind of a goober, but that is all for his mother to remember her son, really.
Yeah, that's right, Mom. Yeah, I'm your son, Elliot.
Moreover, on his heirloom, the dominant pizzazz and humour of him running around with a mini golden statue of himself bonking people is what made me get it. I also like the picture that Mirage has a custom made one for his mother in mind. One look at his room and you'd assume that he's absolutely full of himself, and you're right. There's no room for dead space. Everything encompasses an element of himself, fan drawings to cardboard cutouts of himself, the full lot. Perhaps this is a constant reminder to him that he needs to keep up this face, this front to people so they don't forget the legendary Mirage. His character is truly tragic, and you can't help but root for him. Hell, I even have a Mirage figure within my setup, his legacy always present whenever I look at the statue. On the topic of statues, Mirage is flabbergasted when his made-up rival Pathfinder has a statue erected near Fight Night. I'll show on screen what is said between them, and the jealousy is clear. Mirage wants something like that to be remembered by. Also, on a lighter note, I do love the beef between Mirage and Pathfinder. I don't know how many of you do this at the gym, but suddenly there'll be a guy who you've never spoken to, and you just declare them your gym rival. So you try and push yourself when they're in the area. It's good fun. The rivalry is kind of like that between those two, and I love it. So far, we've covered his backstory, his drive for the games, his mother, and how that eats away at Mirage, the overall space and relationships he encompasses within his room and Pathfinder, as well as the significance of his heirloom. Now I'd like to discuss the last update I played with him, the introduction of Invisible Res and his invisible healing. To me, wonderful, a huge buff to my main, hell yeah, but like looking further into his character, perhaps he's engineered invisibility more so into his kit, or at least upgraded it, primarily due to the ever-increasing devastation dementia has writhen his mother. Within himself, he is starting to feel invisible. As with the slow progression of dementia, his mother by the time of this update may have forgotten key aspects of Elliot, hence his need to hide away. A ghost in the midst of battle, delaying the inevitability of the eventual last thought of you, to be forgotten as time marches forward. Mirage is a character of tragedy, and I'd argue that he is the best written character in all of Apex. His motivation for fame is for the purpose of remembrance, to not be forgotten by his mother and the macro, the world. His charming and dare I say unforgettable personality has stuck with me even after I've stopped playing Apex entirely, and whenever I feel the urge to maybe return to the game, the first thing to come to mind is the desire to play my favourite contender in a battle royale, Elliot Witt.